So this is a good haircut.
It is.
I actually really like it.
Yeah. Not a fan of the guy who gave it to me, but...
Bitch, please. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Relationshad, our weekly after show about our podcast, Relationships. We are your hosts, your Catellis. I am Marco.
And I'm Tony.
I kind of fumbled over that just a little bit. And maybe the wine. Cheers to that.
It's only been your married name for a couple of years.
Just a little bit. Hope everyone's having a wonderful week. What a great episode, right?
It was a very good one.
I really enjoyed it. We started off the week, and we wanted to start off this episode too by giving a quick shout out to our hashtag gay relationship goals for the week. Andrew Serkin and his boyfriend Tom Ernstein. Hello you all. We love you all. Thank you so much. You guys definitely should tune into the episode of Relationship so that you can learn a little bit more about the guys and see what it was that we were talking about, because they are hot, hot, hot.
They are easy on the eyes.
I mean, come on. But even beyond that, we had a really great episode where we were talking about planning for the future. This episode, of course, is Thinking Out Loud, which is a great song by one Mr. Ed Sheeran. I love it so much. It's a karaoke favorite of mine. But this was a great episode talking about planning for the future because, you know, after a certain period of time of being together with your partner, you have to start thinking about what the future is going to look like. If you're married, you have to think about what the next phases of marriage is going to look like. If you're, you know, boyfriend, or girlfriend, you have to think about what those next phases look like in terms of, are you going to get married? Are you not going to get married? And that conversation can be very difficult.
Yeah, I always liked planning and sharing. I think it's very intimate and I actually enjoy it. But yes, it can be very scary. And we explored just some, you know, tricks and tips on, you know, how to do that effectively.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So the first article that we read was an article by Elite Daily. The author was Thais Sanusi. I butchered that, forgive me. But it was essentially how to talk about the future of your relationship with your partner in 5 easy steps. As we mentioned on the podcast, this was a very interesting article for us, where we didn't necessarily agree with every single one of the points, but we thought that they were worth mentioning. There was one point that I did want to highlight, which I thought was the first point, which was have a game plan, which is so simple in its makeup.
Directness.
Yeah, directness, but you know, it's really important. You can't have that conversation if you don't know what you're going to be talking about, right?
Or what you think.
Or what you think. So you have to make sure that you feel comfortable about all of that and you know exactly what to talk about.
And I really liked the fourth point, I think it was, which is when the right time comes to talk, be honest.
100%.
Again, very simple and straightforward, but really critical. Don't censor yourself, right? Don't worry about what your partner's going to think, because if they like you, then you should be you, so that they can know exactly what they're working with.
Yeah, you have to make sure that you're talking about how, like, what you're feeling and what you want and what you need, because you can't work with nothing, right? You got to work with something.
Well, and you can't be like saying what you think you're supposed to say and then wonder why you all aren't on the same page.
Sure, absolutely. Which led us to the second article that we were talking, that we read, which was how to talk about your relationship's future. And this was a Bustle article that was written by Vanessa Marin.
Very good, not butchering the name.
Well, I mean, that one was easy. I mean, come on.
Try to give him credit.
Yeah. But there was a few points that were on here that I really enjoyed. I don't know why my voice just did that. But, the one point that I think was the most important for me was number 7, which was having lots of smaller conversations. You and I are such advocates of making sure that that's what you do, right? Where you're literally not having one talk, but you're having multiple talks on a consistent basis. And I think that that was like super important to just reiterate. And I think that that was important. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said there is no the talk. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. It should be like lots of ongoing talks.
Sure.
So the one that I liked was planning on check-ins for the unknowns. So like, there are the unknowns, the things that are up in the air, and that's one of the points. But I really like the fact that you plan for a check-in. So like, okay, so we're not really sure how we feel about this. Do we want to talk in like 6 months, a year, 2 years? And not that you necessarily have to set a calendar reminder for that, but it does.
But it could help if that's your style.
It can, but it gives you just a nice yardstick to work with, and I do like that.
I love a good yardstick. No, it was a great article. We would love to hear from you all on how you and your partners have your conversations for the future. How do you plan for your future by yourself as well? What are some things, what are some conversations that you have by yourself, for yourself, which I think would be really interesting. So make sure you all write in and let us know what you thought about the episode and how that helped you out a little bit.
Let's go into our
listener situation,
So this week, hello to the Critellis. Let me start off by saying that you two have a great podcast. Oh, and let me start off by saying you have great taste. My boyfriend and I listen every week when we work out at home. We think the topics are helpful and you guys are too cute. Oh, I'm going to blush. So here's our situation. We're going to our first wedding together. We have our outfits picked out and are excited for the festivities and the opportunity to get away. The only problem is it's a straight wedding in the South. Like the deep South. Oh! We talked with my friend who's getting married, and we aren't worried for our safety or anything like that. But we don't want to be a spectacle, you know? Should we tone down our outfits? Should we not dance together? Maybe we limit our alcohol intake. We absolutely want to go, but just aren't sure how to behave.
That's a very interesting question. Something that we've definitely gone through a couple of times.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Not so much in the deep South as in the Midwest.
Sure.
But there are comparable pieces to it.
Yeah.
You know, I would say if you don't want to be a spectacle, don't be a spectacle. But don't censor yourself. Be your authentic self.
Be you.
Be in love. Drink. Dance. Have fun.
Be merry. Hey.
M-A-R-Y, Mary.
Well, I do think it's important to just do you and be you. I'm going to let you know right now you're automatically going to be a spectacle.
It's true.
It's just what's going to happen. You're going to be a spectacle because everyone's going to quickly know you as the gay couple, and that is going to either have positive or negative ramifications during the course of the wedding. I will tell you 90% of the time it's going to have positive ramifications.
It's more a fascination thing.
Yeah, and those that do not want to interact with you won't, and so you never actually, you'll never actually have to deal with them, which is great. But at the same time, just do you, be you, have fun. Again, the outfits, don't tone it down because of the wedding. Tone it down because it's what you want to do.
Right.
Or, I'm sorry, don't tone it down because you're afraid of the consequences of wearing something a little bit toned up. Just tone it down because you don't want to steal attention away from the bride.
Right.
Which I think is a great idea.
Or the groom.
Or the groom. Yeah, no, he could be great. But at the end of the day, do you, be you, have fun. You and your boyfriend, I'm assuming, I think that's what he said. Yeah, boyfriend should just go and weddings are beautiful, weddings are fun, you're gonna have a great time. Go and be there for the bride and the groom. Don't worry about you so much.
Yeah, and I would say, you said you're not worried about the safety piece, but it's totally fine to ask, hey, if there's anyone that you think, this might be a problem for, can someone speak to them beforehand and let them know there's a gay couple coming and that it's not about that, it's about the wedding. I think that's totally fair. Not as a stipulation of you coming, but just in casual conversation.
Absolutely. Awesome. Great question. And make sure you tune into the episode of Relationship Hour podcast so that you could hear the other listener situation that we read on air. We're going to end it right there. Thank you all so much for tuning in and being a part of this really important conversation, and for being a part of this really important, IGTV episode. It's always great, and we always have such a good time with you all, and we thank you for tuning in and listening and being a part of the community in this conversation. We love you all, and we'll definitely see you next week. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.